We're going to take SS8 into Prescription Assistant. So let's go into an example how that works. Let me sign on here. Okay, with SS8, you always have to have a client. You first have to create a client. So let's go over here and create a client. And then from there, we're going to add Prescription Assistant service to that client. So let's create a client. We'll call it PPP client Dennis. Okay, let's save this record. PPP client, Dennis PPP client. Okay, we just built a client record. The most important thing about this record when you're doing Prescription Assistant is the birth date. We want to make sure the birth date's right if you have the birth date. If not, it will default to 1/1/1901. Okay. Now, on the other important part about Prescription Assistant, the client record, is down here at the bottom. If you scroll down on the page, we have Medicare Part D, their current plan and last year's plan. You can keep track of that. You can also keep track of their Medicard, their Medicare card number, and their activation date. That way it's always there. You would probably change this every year when you first add them to the database, and then probably yearly as their plan changes. That way you have track of it. It's easy to record. So once you enter this information, and there's other information under the client database, many demographics, cell phone, their email, if they live alone, they have pets, their income, etc., etc. There's always, if they're handicapped, there's so many fields here you can keep track of, and it's good for reporting purposes and demographics if you need that. So right now we just added a new client called PPP client. Let's do a save here. Save the record. Okay. Now once we added the client, we need to add a service to that client. And this service is going to be called Prescription Assistant. So we go to the Service tab right here, click that, and we go over to Prescription Assistant and we say Add. Now from here, all we add is the start date. This is the date that they start as a Prescription Assistant client with your senior center. You hit Save, and now we go back to the client database, the client details, and here we have the name of the client, everything about them as before. And now if you notice there's an A here, it says they're active. They're an active Prescription Assistant client. Okay, so now we can start recording their prescriptions and keeping track of all their orders. So now let's go back to the home page. Now that the client's in our system and we got them set up as a Prescription Assistant client, we can go down and do our daily operation or weekly. Whenever they come in to fill out a new prescription, a new form, we would go to Prescription Assistant. Down in the menu, we can type in their name if we know it. This is the new client we just created. We hit search, find. It brings it up. This is the new client that we just added. It's a Prescription Assistant. And if you noticed here, this is the screen that we would create the prescriptions that we're recording and we're ordering. Okay, so let me go ahead and enter some information here. Their dose and their times a day, the company that they're going with, and again, I'll say company ABC. This is all information that you would know. The cost of the drug. You don't have to enter dollar signs. You would just enter the cost. The supply. The total cost is computed automatically. The type of drug, it's a brand or generic. Say it's a generic. Application status. It's pending. The staff person entering this information, I put dentist staff. If you know the doctor who prescribes this, you can put their name in there, and then again it keeps track of all this information. The refill date, let's go to end of month. Their filled date, say they just got it filled. The pharmacy, if you want to keep track of that. Is it filled, yes or no? We'll say yes, it was filled. Units, say 12 units. Comments, whatever you want to put in here. I'm just going to put this as a test comment. Now that I've got this information, I'm going to save it. And you noticed I've entered everything about the prescription that we need to keep capture for this client. Now I've saved it. Now if I go in here and look under tracking, I can see this record that we just entered for today. Okay, and that's, we can see what information for history purposes and what the status is, if it's pending or it's been filled. Now you can always go back here, you can go under client, you can pull up any client you want, do a search, and you can also always see there if there's records or no records at all. So let's go back to home. So right now at this point we've added a new client, we've added a service called Prescription Assistant. We went down to the service menu and we've added some activity to this client. Let me pull it up here. This is the client we added. We've added some activity. Right now it's blank, but I go tracking. I can see the data that I've entered for this person. So now the data is out there in the databases. Now we can go to reports. We can go to reports from the tab up here, or I can go back to the home page and go down to reports right here. And I click reports. I'll go to Prescription Assistant because that's the service we're working with. I click this record, this tab, and then right now under Prescription Assistant you can pull up a report from date to date. If you just want to look at this month, let's pull up July. Okay, the 1st of July, and let's go to the end of July. And let's just pull everything in here that we can for this date. Okay. Let me try that again. Let's just pull up everybody here. It's going to bring up every record. You'll pull up the criteria that you're after, refill date from and to, kind of drugs you're after, prescription status pending or whatever. It will bring those up. Your criteria is up to you, what you want to see on your reports. This should start bringing up every record in the database since I'm just asking for everything here. Okay, here's all the records that are in the database. I've noticed there's an error here, and that tells me that somebody tried to enter a $ on the cost amount, and that will be corrected here shortly. But this will bring up any kind of reporting you want to look at. If you want to see who's all pending, right now it's out in the database, it's pending. It will go out and bring up every pending record that's out there. If there's some criteria that you need to report on and we don't have it here in these boxes, all you need to do is let the Ssaid office know and they will add that criteria for you. Right now this is going to bring up everybody that's pending, as you can see the status. So you can get very specific on your searches here. Again, this right here, there's an error on a field that we're correcting right now. There's a $ that someone manually entered on the screen. So now that we know how to enter a client, enter a service called Prescription Assistant, we can go to reports, pull up anything we want to look at for that client or clients. We can also go to billing. So in a month here, we go to Prescription Assistant under billing. Okay, you can pick the month. Let's go to May. Let's go, say, just one township. This brings up the total billing for that township for that month. Okay, so that's the report that the Council on Aging is looking for you to submit to them. So this is the billing. So that's pretty much Prescription Assistant. Create the client, create the service as a Prescription Assistant client. Okay, let's pull it up. You can do a search here, Prescription Assistant. If you know their name, you can bring up everyone, or you can just bring up that individual we just created. Do a search. There's the client. I bring up the client. And if you notice, this client is an active Prescription Assistant client. Okay, so that means we can go back and we can perform prescription assistance to this person. We can start adding prescriptions to his records. Every day we come in here, we can say, okay, or once a week, we start adding drugs, prescription to his records. We can go look at his records, do tracking. Okay, there's his tracking. And then from here, we can go to reports, pull reports off by all the clients for that month under Prescription Assistant. Okay. And then from reports, we can also go back to billing under the main menu, and you can see the type of billing process for Prescription Assistant. And it's at the bottom of the page here. So that's pretty much it as far as prescription assistance. If there's any other instruction you may need or help, all you need to do is contact Ssaid or 800 number or email us, and we'll be glad to assist you. Thank you for using Ssaid.